Okay, I think we're live. Hey guys, Ganesh from Covalent here. Today we're excited to have another superstar as a guest on our podcast, video streams, casual fireside chat, whatever you want to call it. And our guest today is Anton from the 1inch project. He's one of the other co-founders. Anton, how are you today?
Hey everyone, I'm fine. Hope you too.
Awesome. Anton, let's get started with a quick intro about yourself, how you got into the space. And yesterday, Sergey shared the story with how 1inch started, so we don't have to go into that. But let's start about how you actually got into the blockchain space.
At the beginning of 2017 and late of 2016, I was really curious about some blockchain projects, and it was very interesting for me to understand how they work, to read their white papers. And in the mid of 2017, I jumped into Ethereum development. I started right on the hackathon. It was hackathon in Russia. It had a strange naming, something like blockchain is the new oil of Russia, something like this. It was in Kazan city, and Vitalik Buterin was there. So I started to learn about Solidity, about EVM, about Ethereum on this hackathon, and built my very first program. Spent like 24 hours with sleepless hours, and I was like very excited about possibilities. And since that moment, I'm like working hard on smart contracts.
Amazing. So I've read some of your, your interviews and your profile. You've been programming for a very long time, all the way from like Turbo C++ to Solidity now. How would you say the blockchain development experience is different from something like iOS or something like backend server programming to maybe not Turbo C++? That was a different environment. So how would you say it's different?
Yeah, it's a cool question, because I spent like more than 6-7 years developing for native platforms on C++, for different operating systems like Windows, macOS, Linux. And then I also worked more than 5 years as iOS developer. iOS, Apple iOS. What I have to say about iOS development is that they have the most convenient developer tools, like best ever developer tools. When you develop for iOS or macOS, you only care about your actual product, your actual problems. You don't fight with IDE, with debuggers, simulators. They just work perfect in most cases. Yeah. And when I switched to blockchain, I was like mostly amazed on possibilities and on how source code of smart contract is matter. Because when you develop in C++ or iOS, usually if you're working on some product, you don't have enough time to make your code perfect. It will have some quality. You will have maybe will have some time to improve quality of your code, doing refactorings. But when you work on a smart contract project, the code is the king. So you can spend few days only improving your code, rewriting it, making it more powerful, more optimized from gas point of view, making it shorter. If you spend few days and throw it away like few hundred lines of code, it's also a good achievement, because the amount of your code would affect how much time audits would take, and also how much you would pay for this audit, because auditing few hundred lines of code is super cheap and super fast comparing to if your project have a few thousand lines of code. But it's also important to understand that sometimes it's possible to make few hundred lines of code instead of few thousands, because it's like it depends on your approach, how you come to this problem, how you write your code. And there is also opinion that there is like nothing better would affect your code quality than like rewriting your code. It's for all the projects, because when you design your software, somehow at the beginning you can't imagine in which ways it will expand, and you will add some features you initially can't imagine what these features, so where they will be extending your application. And if you would just rewrite your application, code quality will be much higher. And when you are working on smart contract project, it's not that big, like few hundred lines of code, 500 lines of code, you can afford to rewrite it. You could spend like few days rewriting and dramatically improving your code base. So I really like when code works perfect and looks perfect. Everyone can read it, and it's like wrote in efficient manner. So I really like the code. That's why I was like under huge impression of smart contract development.
Amazing. So we have a similar, I would say, challenge at Covalent, where we're growing super fast, right? We're growing. So in the month of April, we grew 200%. So we basically like 2x'd our traffic. And this has been happening like month after month after month. And if you've grown 10x, you cannot scale your costs 10x because that'll bankrupt the company, right? So you need to rewrite the entire architecture while it's serving customers without any downtime. So that's a unique challenge. I think it's also a different mindset for an engineer, because building something greenfield, something new from scratch, from a blank file, is very different from replacing something that already works, but you have to optimize it. So you first have to understand what the existing code does before you can try another approach. So it's a fun little programming exercise for sure. Okay, cool. Now let's switch to 1inch itself. What can you tell us about the algorithm? I've always seen it, always been described as the algorithm. What is that? What can you share about the algorithm? What is the computer science algorithm? If you're comfortable, would love to hear some bits about it.
Yeah, initially when we started in May of 2019, the idea was pretty simple. It was like, on each DEX, the more you swap, the worse is the rate. This means if you would just split your user volume among different DEXs, you would swap less on each DEX, and this would improve your exchange rate. And that's how we started. We had like 3 DEXs. It was Uniswap, Kyber, and Banker. And since that moment, we like a lot of things changed. Right now, we have more than 50 sources on Ethereum mainnet and more than 20 sources on Binance Smart Chain network. So, and we also changed our algorithm multiple times. Right now, you could imagine how it works if you would look at this problem as we have a graph where nodes of the graph are assets, tokens, and edges of these graphs are different DEXs, different pools. And we're trying to find best multipath from one node to another node over other nodes and over all these different edges. And we're trying to find optimal paths, like best path. It's not like one path, it's multipath, because for example, if you have to swap Ether for DAI, you can swap part of your Ether to DAI. Part of Ether could be swapped to USDC, and USDC could be swapped to DAI using, for example, Curve protocol. And some part could be also swapped to USDT, and USDT could be swapped to DAI using stablecoin protocol. And this allows you to touch all the market depths to all the stable tokens, and you will minimize your slippage this way. So yeah, right now it's a task about graphs. it's algorithm on graphs, but it also takes gas costs into account, and some edges they are dependent. For example, some DAI to USDC and USDT to USDC edges, they could be dependent because they could try to use same curve pool. And this problem do not have like efficient solution. We can like always came up to new optimizations, improve solution, but this is like NP problem, NP complete task, NP complete problem, and this means there is no like effective solution which like would give you provably the best result. But we can always improve our like approaches and primitives which could help us to dominate here. So yeah, as we started and we were like the initial and leading DEX, I believe we're like in the same position, mostly because of our advanced algorithms.
Amazing. Now you're pulling in data. Is the algorithm is not running on chain, it's running off chain. Is that correct?
Yeah,
and
sure.
You're feeding data into the UI to get the right path.
Yeah, you know, at some point in time, we had two versions. We had off-chain, and we also had on-chain version of our like one of our algorithms. It was more than 1 year ago. It called one split and one router and one proto. It had like multiple versions, but at some point we like deprecated it because a lot of people tried to rely on it. It had a it was only for splitting, not for building complex roads, and a lot of people tried to rely on it as on-chain source of fair price, but it's absolutely it's manipulatable. It was like working on top of all these dexes, and you can change prices on these dexes with flash loan, and you can manipulate price. But a lot of people tried to use it as on-chain source of price. This is like it was bad idea, and we decided that since we came up to new this routing this cool path, you can see this cool path if you would put just huge amounts into swap box, like try to swap 10k ether to something, 1k ether to DAI, for example. It's huge amount. Or also you could decrease gas prices to make gas prices like less significant. It would build super cool roads for you, because if you swap for example a few $100 or even like 1k bucks, it makes no sense to build your road which would eat $200 of gas. So if 1 inch gives you some road which costs some huge amount of gas, like higher than Uniswap, this means that result you would get would be like profitable to spend this amount for gas. I mean, if gas cost is like $200 comparing to Uniswap, which is currently maybe $50, it's like sounds like $150 more. But if our algorithm propose you this road, this means that result is give you more than $150 advantage. So yeah, that's how it works. If advantage of price improvement during building this custom path would not be that good, we would not suggest you using this road. We would just suggest you using Uniswap pools, because we have a special optimized version of our like router function for Uniswap pools. It's like works like Uniswap router, but it's like our own code, and it's like 10% more gas efficient than Uniswap router.
Amazing. Do you have a visualization for this? It'd be really, really cool to see all the. Yeah, you do. Is it?
Yeah, you can see it right on the page. If you would put some like huge amount of assets to be swapped, you can see this road over all these pools, and these pools, they are clickable. You can click and you will see a scan page.
Amazing.
With these exact pools.
Wow. Okay, that's very, very cool. That's awesome. Okay, and then I want to take a little detour and then come back to this route finding algorithm, because I think it's relevant. So you've contributed to other ecosystems as well. So I was surprised to see that you'd contributed to synthetics contracts and to the Rainbow Bridge. So let's talk about the Rainbow Bridge. Why specifically is the bridging technology interesting to you? And what is the outcome of the Rainbow Bridge? I know it's shipped, but let's hear what's happened with that project.
Yeah, I joined Near team in the end of 2019. Let me check. Yeah, end of 2019 or starting of 2020. 1inch project at that moment was like a pet project. It was not like an established company at that moment. And I came to Near team and proposed them that I can become their like a team member, because at that moment they had no one in their team who was like focused on smart contracts development, because they're like building layer 1 solution, but they're not working on smart contracts. And I told them that they need me because I'm experienced in smart contracts, and I see like the challenges in building smart contracts for sharded systems. And I started, and like after maybe 2 weeks, I came up to vision that I could contribute to building smart contracts on Near and Ethereum by building this decentralized bridge, Rainbow Bridge. What I did, I found out and compared different architectures existing at that moment, and came up to vision how it could be built to achieve like everything, that anything could be built on top of this bridge. It's like fully arbitrary smart contract bridge. You can bridge, you can use this bridge to bridge tokens. You can use this bridge to bridge any arbitrary data. You can build 2 smart contracts in 2 networks and establish communication channel between them using this bridge. I built core smart contracts for this bridge. It's based on smart contract in Ethereum network, which is light client of Near blockchain, and smart contract of on Near network, which is light client of Ethereum blockchain. And it was challenging for me because I never wrote Rust smart contracts before. It was really interesting because I never worked with WASM and Rust, but I learned it pretty fast because I had like a huge experience with C++, and Rust is very similar to C++. It's even a bit easier from one point of view, and from another point of view, it's much safer. That's why everyone is using it. It's like C++ minus undefined behavior. So yeah, I came up to vision that decentralized bridge products is like thing which could allow DeFi to expand from Ethereum to all other chains. But as far as I see now, I'm not sure that anyone except Near have a decentralized bridge. So in 2017, Kyber built some bridges like to EOS blockchain, and my Ethereum Light Client smart contract was built on ideas of Kyber network bridge. I'm not sure, Waterloo bridge. It was named Waterloo bridge. Yeah. Yeah, it was like an interesting challenge for me. So I designed overall architecture of this bridge and started building it. But at some point in time, I had to leave Near to work full time on 1inch, and they finished this bridge without me, because it's not only about building some code, it's also about managing how it would work it also requires a lot of work to be done. Yeah.
Amazing. So there are now lots of bridges which are necessary. For example, the bridge from any layer 1 to a layer 2, a bridge between layer 1s. There's like so much going on. What would you say is the state of art when it comes to bridges?
I would say really decentralized bridges is necessary for layer 1 to layer 1. Because when we're talking about layer 2, like Optimism, Arbitrum, ZK Sync, ZK Porter, all these layer 2s, they already have like arbitrary bridge in the core of their system, and you can just write smart contract to have, for example, token bridge, ERC20 bridge. It's super simple. It does not require to trust anyone, and it will just work. All this core thing, which works like a bridge, they already have it, because that's how they work. Because they bridge all their data aggregated to layer 1, and they also get some data from layer 1 to layer 2. That's like all layer 2 solutions, they already have this bridge in their core system, and developers should only build few smart contracts to have like ERC20 bridge. It's like super simple. But if we're talking about different layer 1 solutions, they don't have any bridges. And some projects, they basically launch multi-sig bridge. It's pretty simple. I heard Polygon started with bridge controllable by just single address, and then they switched it to some multi-sig, like small multi-sig, and then finally they came up to bigger multi-sig, where they invited some cool founders of cool projects in DeFi. Yeah, this also works, but it's not like that much decentralized. Yeah, the core difference between decentralized bridge, that anyone can bring data to relay between these chains, and because these light clients, mutual light clients on smart contracts, they never trust to anyone, they just verify.
Okay. Now, would the bridging technology actually feature in your 1-inch routing algorithm?
No.
Let's say you want to tap into Pancake as a liquidity source when I'm doing swaps in on Ethereum. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I heard of it. I thought of it multiple times, you know. But what I came up to, that having a cross-chain swaps and like multi-cross-chain swaps is super complex for users, especially if something will go wrong and some of your liquidity will stuck in some layer 1s or some bridges. It's non-atomic, and it's like super complex for users to understand what's happening. And I see much more value in having bridged apps. So if I have some Ether and want to bridge it to, for example, BSC, I would just use some bridge app. I don't know, like hop.exchange or any else. And I would love to swap my Ether to Rapid Ether from one network to another network. And also I will be able easily to see if exchange rate is good or not, because if it's 1-to-1, it's super cool. If it's not 1-to-1, I can easily see the difference. I'm like, I do not believe in cross-chain swaps. I believe in cross-chain liquidity bridging. You can bridge your stable tokens. You can bridge your Ether, BNB. You can bridge anything, but it makes sense to swap your tokens in the same blockchain where you are, because bridging liquidity to from Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain, swapping there and return this liquidity across bridge, this would take a lot of time, like many minutes, and it doesn't look like atomic anyhow.
Okay, very cool. So you guys recently launched on Polygon. How is that going? What are some lessons? This is not your first blockchain that you're doing. It's actually a third blockchain after Binance Smart Chain. So what is the something new you've learned when you deploy to Polygon? How has it been going so far?
Yeah, initially when we started considering Polygon, initially when we're like considering any chain to expand to, we are looking on bridge, how it's working, how safe it is. And initially Polygon had some troubles with it. As I described, they had like a non-multi-sig, multi-sig, then they switched it to small multi-sig. Now they have like a big multi-sig with founders of different projects, and it's like much safer than initially. And because if people would breach your liquidity, if one inch foundation would breach a lot of 1 inch tokens, if this breach would be hacked, you can imagine like billions of this liquidity will be just stolen. It's like it could be a hugest hack in DeFi since beginning, hugest hack ever. So we're taking this seriously, and we're like starting exploring new chains with deeply understanding how the bridges are working. Because for example, Binance Smart Chain, they have like a bridge based on Binance reputation. This is probably one of the hugest DeFi blockchain companies. So yeah, Polygon is not that huge with their reputation. So especially if someone will be able to hack them because of like non-using multi-sig or something like this. So yeah, when we saw that their bridge became safer with huge multi-sig, I'm not sure how much people are right now, like 5 signatures of 8 or something like this. Yeah, but mostly it's pretty simple to migrate to chains which works in the same way as Ethereum, because they're like fully compatible. We can deploy same smart contracts even without recompiling them. That's super easy for any project. And also from backend point of view, you have to run their nodes. So you have to verify what are the requirements, because for example, Binance nodes, they're like they are eating 10 times more gas each second, and they're like require top-notch hardware. And yeah, you have to prepare all your hardware to be compatible. You can't just jump on BSC without testing their nodes, how they would work for you, because it have just 10 times more gas right now each second.
Yeah, I think we're also one of the few teams that runs full archive Binance Smart Chain nodes, and it's one of the it's because you need these, especially in the cloud, you need special SSDs for it to sync. It's very expensive to run these nodes, but it's okay because there's so much traffic on there. But I'm curious to see how it'll pan out in like 5-6 months when the state is so rich. It's already like 3.5 terabytes. It's almost it's growing faster than Ethereum, the state size. So I'm curious to see.
One more thing, if you also rely on some services like the graph, like Dune Analytics, it also can be challenging, because they can support BSC right now. I had Dune Analytics had plans to expand to BSC, but I understand why they're like still not edit it, because it's like 10 times more transactions, 10 times more gas is spent in BSC. And if your architecture is like working on your hardware, you have to verify what would happen if transaction capacity will be 10 times higher. will you be able to handle all this volume in real time? And we see that some of these projects are not working right now. And we also saw that some projects appeared which are trying to provide similar services, and they are also like working on BSC. So it's like this blockchains, they're also expanding these markets, because all these players who were able to deliver some services, they potentially can like jump into this new layer one opportunity. They have to improve, maybe optimize something, but 10x improvement is sounds challenging.
Absolutely. So the core problem, I think, we have a lot of traffic, a lot of traction on Binance Smart Chain. Things like token balances, historical granular transaction data, token holders at any historical block. And the core problem from a syncing perspective, especially for a project like Covalent or the Graph or Dune, you cannot rely on the RPC layer to pull data out, because when your node is syncing, that RPC layer, the JSON RPC layer, it's single threaded. So it's a big source of contention. So you cannot pull data fast enough. And this is why if you see all the subgraphs on Binance Smart Chain, they're all like, half a day behind, because they're not able to keep in sync. So data that's half a day old is not very useful. You might as well have no data. And the only answer there is to directly bypass the RPC layer and directly talk to the level DB and export the RLP files in batches. And then we've also rebuilt the Postgres storage layer so that you can just upload the RLP files directly to Postgres. So that is our architecture. And that's why we're able to scale with any of these faster blockchains. Like we sync with the Avalanche C chain, Phantom, of course, Polygon, and then I think that's the approach. And this is why I say, like, every time we see scale, you have to like rethink, re-architect, and like move fast, because otherwise you'll be it's game over for you, right? Because if your data doesn't sync, you might as well not support it, right?
Yeah, what I really like here is this chains. They're also affecting gas development, because as you said, you are trying to touch this database on your own, like in read-only mode, and this also could be contributed to Geth to like fully support this, to like help to expose this functionality, to make it like an official way to use their software. Yeah,
amazing. So we actually have a quick update. I think Brandon, our data scientist, is also on this call. But one of the gaps we see with 1inch is, as 1inch is moving, not just 1inch, when you move to any blockchain, the cross-chain analytics is just not visible. So he's quickly put this 1inch exchange Polygon statistics, which is talking about daily active users. And Brandon, can you just share a few words about this?
Yeah, for sure. Can you see the screen here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is just a brief overview, but and we can obviously build more on this with more time. But I just threw this together last night as I was playing with the 1inch Polygon app. So it just goes over daily active addresses, some gas statistics, some aggregated statistics at the top. So about 1,100 unique users have interacted with 1inch exchange on Polygon. Almost 43 million has been swapped, and it's only cost about $25 in gas, which is to be expected. So we can scroll through some of these other ones. You can break it down by token. The most popular token is USDT. The daily swap volume obviously is increasing. It's only been active for 3 days. So, this is all gonna update automatically, and it'll be really cool to see these charts grow as the protocol grows on Polygon. We have these from basically day one. So, come back and watch this video in 2 weeks and double check on these charts and see what they look like. because this is, yeah, they'll auto update, and you'll be able to, see how it changes over time. And this was all just born out of the fact that I noticed there's no charts currently on the Polygon app for 1inch. It's just the swap interface there. So here's some charts.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool. That's what I was talking about. That existing solutions for Ethereum, they were not able to jump in to all these new chains immediately, especially because they have a much higher transaction capacity.
Amazing. Okay, so yeah, it's very cool to see. I think, Brandon, what would be also amazing is on the first high level chart is cross-chain. So as a percentage of total, what is the transaction volume across the 3 chains that are supported today? So Ethereum main chain, Binance Smart Chain, and then 1inch. And then you can do that as a 100% area chart. And then you can see, yes, it's all growing. All transaction volume is growing. But what is the contribution? Yes, we have like $43 million of transaction, but what is that in the higher aspect of all of the chains that 1inch supports? And then if there are any kind of 1inch rewards or liquidity mining programs that you have for liquidity, where should the 1inch Foundation focus its efforts? Because you want to see very clear growth in transaction volume when you incentivize liquidity. And without the analytics, without the stats there, it's impossible to just be flying blind. I think those are some of the things that these are new problems. Like this problem didn't exist 6 months ago, right? So it's fascinating to see new chains, exactly, the market is expanded, lots of newer challenges, and I think multi-chain is the future. There is no escape around it. Especially, I think what's going to happen is that the world is going to split into like the Binance ecosystem and then the Coinbase ecosystem, where there's going to be off ramp, so you can directly withdraw from Binance to Binance Smart Chain. And this is why they have so much traction. And it's not clear. Maybe Coinbase will export to Meta and Polygon. Maybe they'll export to Optimism. And then it's a must to support these 2 ecosystems. You can't ignore them. And I heard recently that OKX supported exports to Arbitrum, which is another layer 2 scaling solution. So I think this is a must because you want the best for your users, which means you want to be where their users are. And there's a lot of stickiness with these exchanges and these ecosystems. So it's very cool to see. Okay, cool. And then let's move on to the next topic at hand. What's your criteria for picking a blockchain? Obviously you touched upon the security of the bridge itself. What are some of the other points that is into consideration?
Yeah, we're in 1inch, like looking at what's happening on all the layer 1 solutions on all the blockchains, and we're trying to see like which trend is growing. Like it's not about how much users they have now, it's about how it's changing, how their chart is looking. It's really challenging to get this information for some of the blockchains. So we're trying to build own solutions. We're trying to find companies who build analytics for them, because what we saw in Binance Smart Chain, we saw like when trends start to going like in exponential manner, and we jumped in, and we also captured all this growth. So I was like, we were like really happy on the moment when we jumped into BSC. On Polygon, we also noticed this trend of growing number of users, number of transactions. We also do advanced analytics on, if you would summarize transactions of each wallet per hour, you would see when this user sleeps, like 5-6 hours where number of transactions is super low. especially in COVID times, people are less traveling and their sleep time is mostly the same. This helps us to exclude wallets which are like bots, some trading bots, arbitrage bots, something like this, because they never sleep. They don't have 5-6 hours to sleep with super small transaction activity. Yeah, that's how we inspect. And we looking in which direction wind is blowing, and we're ready to jump in. But it's also challenging to have multiple layer 1 solutions. Right now we have 3. It's hard. We manage it, but it's hard. But what would happen to us if we would have like 10 integrations? If one integration can broke something like once a week, 3 integrations will be something will broke like 3 times a week. And if you have 20 integrations, every day 3 of them will be broken. Something like this. I mean, there is like some probability when some of integration could be broken, and the more integrations you have, the more cases of breaking something would happen to you. So yeah, we're expanding carefully and looking at bridges and on trend of users, transactions, DEXs, volumes. For sure, if some layer 1 don't have DEXs and tokens, there is nothing to aggregate. And if it have no users, there is nothing for whom to do a service. So yeah, it's like a set of factors for us to explore.
Okay. Now I'm curious, what do you mean by integration is breaking? Because I thought these are smart contracts. What can break?
Yeah, for example, nodes. This could happen. Like they can be like out of sync. In BSC, what we saw huge reorgs. So this could happen because of all these transactions. They could be of a huge size. All these blocks is like megabytes, gigabytes of data, and if something like reorganization of 100 blocks happening, this is also not good, because this could happen for a few minutes downloading all this data, and this means that your service will not work for this time. So you have to manage all this software, and especially if you are like using some things like the graph, you have to make sure that they are also working. You can self-host their solutions and yeah, there are like a lot of different points you are touching which could be broken, and that's what usually happens. Something is broken and you should fix it as soon as possible and make sure how to prevent it in future. So yeah,
got it. Yeah, we're seeing a very unique behavior on Binance Smart Chain, where every day at 6 a.m. Pacific, there's a huge amount of traffic that is getting snapshotted. So our entire data pipeline until like a couple of days ago, it just stalls because it's like 10x the size of the data. And it's like someone is snapshotting something to Binance Smart Chain or something of that nature, which is very interesting to see, like new behaviors. Like we've never seen that. Our data pipeline has been running for like 2 years without any downtime on Ethereum, but all these new chains are really challenging our initial assumptions. Okay, very cool. So yeah, I have two.
And as you said, that state is growing. No one knows what would happen to this software. I mean, gas nodes, parity nodes, if all this state would not fit into RAM. How it will behave, how it will cache all this execution, fetch it from SSD, would be SSD speed is enough for this or not?
Yeah, and the thing is that this exact same thing is going to happen on Polygon, on Phantom, all the fast financial chains. It's just, maybe like 6 months down the line. So I think now is the time that the community needs to really be prepared for this, because it's just going to be, even E 2.0, the same thing will happen, right? This is new territory that we are breaking. So I have two final questions before you close off for the day. One is like a question about what keeps you up at night. What are you stressed about? Of course, hacks. Hacks is like a huge thing. But generally, what keeps you up at night? What are you concerned about?
I usually answer on this question that I don't know how some founders of centralized exchanges, how do they sleep? Because running a centralized exchange is super dangerous, because you have some software, you have some hardware, operating system, all these things, and there are a lot of exploits which are not yet published. You can buy zero-day exploit for any operating system for maybe $1 million. And you can also find an entire person who is able to exploit this this vulnerability. This also could cost you maybe 1 million, but the amount of funds which could be stolen from centralized exchanges, this is like tens and hundreds of millions, and it sounds like profitable for hackers. And this money could be just returned. It's not a banking system. You can't steal hundreds of millions from bank, because your transaction will be just reverted back in a few hours, and they will find you, and you will not be able to spend this money for sure. But in crypto, someone could steal tens and hundreds of millions. Maybe I think it's possible that someone could steal billions, and it will be super hard and challenging to investigate this. But you know that proofs will be always on blockchain, but it still will be hard to investigate, especially after having some zero knowledge solutions to mix this value, money, assets, tokens. And I believe that running a centralized exchange is it's super dangerous. But running a DEX, you will have like a fundamental thing which would protect you, and only in case that some contract bug found, your users may be hacked, your DEX may be hacked, and a lot of audits could provide you some kind of guarantee that this would never happen. But there is nothing like there is always something which could be hacked on centralized exchange side, and I can't understand how the people can feel when they have like hundreds of millions or billions of user funds on their centralized exchange, and it's also like a huge challenge to have a safety and security of your exchange to be like to prevent potential hacks. So I would say that I sleep well comparing to these people who run centralized exchanges.
Okay, gotcha. And then my final question is, what are you excited that's coming up for 1inch, the blockchain space, and in general? Like, what's exciting?
Yeah,
what are you looking forward to?
We in 1inch like never sleeps. Yeah, we are going to ship new protocols pretty soon. Like in this, I believe in this month we will ship one of the protocols, and I hope till the end of this year we will also build something huge. We're not talking about this publicly. We do not have like a public roadmap because we are trying to exceed users' expectations, and we are trying to surprise them. We believe that it makes more sense to silently build something and ship it than announce and never ship, or ship super late comparing to what we were expecting.
In this space, I think that is actually a positive thing, right? There's a lot of fluff, a lot of promises being made and not being held. You see like this space is so noisy. So, shipping actual software is ultimately the final bar to clear. All right, Anton, I think we're coming towards the end of our chat today. Thank you so much for having, spending time with our communities. And we're looking forward to the Dungeons and Data competition, see what comes out of it. There's a lot of participants. We've never seen so much activity before. So good luck to the participants. We'll be having more of these office hours and the guides. Any final thoughts before we close off for the day?
Since it's hackathon, I would suggest everyone who are participating to find something which they can really improve, because there are a lot of things in this space which could be improved. It's like I had like a huge concern before I came to blockchain. What should I build if I want to achieve something huge, build something huge? Because I always saw all these stories like Microsoft built something from scratch, Apple built something from scratch. A lot of companies build something huge from scratch, and it looks like what else could be built like huge, which could be really interesting and new. And I was not able to answer on this question for many years. Like I have more than 15 years of software development experience, almost 20 years. And I had no idea what could be built to achieve something, to like what could be challenging in this software development area. But when I came to blockchains, I discovered all these opportunities, all this DeFi thing, and I see there are like a lot of things which could be built, and some of them are implemented now. And even these projects which are already implemented, you can improve them, make them even better than they implemented it, like implement it in a new way, in a different way, implement them to be like a 10x more performant, 10x cheaper, I don't know. There are like super huge amount of opportunities here, and I like very glad that I found this area to work in, because it's super interesting and super challenging. And I would suggest everyone to analyze all the projects they see, to understand how they work and understand what could be built on top of all these projects. What can they build to maybe replace some project with something new, some new approach. So yeah, since it's hackathon, I would suggest everyone to build something cool.
Amazing. Those are some very inspiring parting words. All right, Anton, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for your time, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me.
Yeah, bye now.
Yeah.